What is incredibly important is our awareness of our personality, okay? I'm narcissistic. I'm arrogant, I'm cocky, I'm also incredibly effective, okay? The reason I'm incredibly effective is because I know I'm narcissistic, I'm arrogant, and I'm cocky. So when I engage in discourse with another human being, I know, now I see a lot of smirks in the room, because everybody's going, well, that guy just said he's narcissistic, arrogant, and cocky. Why would anybody say that about themselves? Do you remember moments ago when I told you the most important thing you do moving forward in your life and career is gonna be remain authentic? I practice what I preach, okay? That's who I am, that's how I've always been, that's how I behave. I was so ruthlessly addicted to drugs and alcohol at one point in my life. I slept under bridges, I slept in dumpsters sometimes. I had no money, I ended up robbing a bank and going to prison. I never committed suicide and I never would. Why? Because regardless of the fact that I was frail, skinny, broke, burned every bridge I ever had, literally had nothing to live for and served no purpose to anybody in society, I was very convinced I was still extremely important and I couldn't kill myself because society would be so much worse off without me, okay? That is narcissism at its best, okay? So how does somebody who's incredibly narcissistic and has such a high opinion of themselves and is arrogant and cocky and thinks they're God's gift to the world, which that's a little bit of a stretch, I don't think that, but I'm saying it for effect. How does that person become successful? How does that person own 3 successful car dealerships, have a sales training company, the CEO of a tech company that's growing to be very relevant in the marketplace very quickly? And I'm not saying these things to be braggadocious, I'm saying these things to establish the relevance of the conversation and the foundation by which I speak, okay? How does that person get there? Awareness and authenticity, okay? You can be extremely shy. You can be introverted. You can be somebody who doesn't like to really talk to other people, but you can still be an incredibly effective salesperson. If you are aware of those personality traits and you know that they are your downfall, your misgiving, whatever label you want to put on it, as long as you're aware of those things, you know that those are behaviors, habits, personality flaws, whatever, and you know how to reverse engineer them into conversation and into your antics or the things that you do on a daily basis so they don't hurt you, they're not going to hurt you, okay? Kind of like the athlete that knows he has weak ankles. If he then goes out and tries to play games without taping his ankles, he's probably gonna bust his ankle, okay? So if we know we have a weak ankle, we tape it, we stretch it, we do the appropriate countermeasures necessary to make sure that it doesn't become a pain point in our game, our structure, our career, whatever. And the chances of that becoming something that stops us from getting what we want becomes very slim or depleted to the point where it's no more an issue than just normal day-to-day issues, okay? So, why was I talking about how do you perceive me when you look at me? Because you have to understand how society thinks if you want to be successful, okay? I don't know if anybody's familiar with this, but in the CIA, okay, this is something that's trended a little bit. It's been seen on podcasts recently. There's been quite a buzz about this that some people continue to reiterate upon it for trends and views. But the principal component of what I'm about to say has to do with the CIA and how they train new recruits, okay? When it comes to hostage negotiation and interrogation of people who are have been apprehended and are being interrogated in the interrogation rooms, for lack of better verbiage. They teach them the concept of perspective over perception, okay? Has anybody ever heard the phrase perception is reality? I've seen a lot of head nods. Show me hands. Who's heard perception is reality? Okay, so only one person in here hasn't heard of it, is the younger one. Doesn't surprise me, okay? There's gonna be things that have been commonplace in society that, depending on your generation and where you sit within it, is going to determine whether or not you've heard it. Perception is reality. In old TV shows, on the news, talk shows, a lot of times, Chris, they would say, you know, somebody would behave a certain way and say, well, that wasn't that bad, or I didn't really hurt that person. But the host would then say, well, perception is reality. It's not about what you did, it's how the crowd perceived it. You understand where that phrase comes from? Okay, so it's been understood for a very long time, and apparently not recently, that perception is reality, okay? So for instance, if I walk in the room and I start saying things loud and obnoxiously, and I'm really a nice guy, I'm very caring, I've got a good heart, I'm loyal to my friends, and I wouldn't hurt a fly. But I'm 6'3", 275, loud, obnoxious, and I swear, if I were to then walk out of the room and the poll were to be taken, do you think anybody would say, well, that guy's a nice, tender, loving, caring guy that seems to be loyal to his friends and would never hurt a fly? No, they're gonna say, that is a prick. Guy comes in here all loud and tall and fucking shouting obscenities. What a douchebag, okay? When in reality, I could be the complete antithesis of that. But the perception would be the reality, meaning this. You would then go out and perpetuate into society when asked who I was, that I was this loud, obnoxious prick that came in the room and pissed everybody off, right? You were to go interview my wife, she would tell you much differently because she lives with me. But most importantly, if you interviewed me, I would say, no, man, I'm loyal, I'm kind, I care about people, I'm a teddy bear. Now, put yourself in a situation where you are then the salesperson trying to sell me something. And then you say something like, well, dude, we all know you're kind of a loud, obnoxious, swearing goofball, right? So let's just understand that and move forward. Do you think I'm gonna go, yeah, you know what, you're right, let's just roll with it? No. I'm gonna say, oh, okay. I'm gonna hear what you say. I'm gonna do what your customer's gonna do, which is agree with you, because they don't want friction. They don't want more awkward exchange. It's already awkward enough that somebody they don't know is trying to get them to spend money, okay? They're gonna, yeah, okay, whatever, keep it moving. Your chances of selling them diminish to pretty much nothing because you've forced a belief upon them that does not resonate with them, okay? Perspective. One of the most powerful things you can do in your life. Has anybody ever read the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People? It's by Dale Carnegie. What's that? You've read it?
Yes.
Okay. So, Peter, you have an understanding, having read that book, about what I'm talking about right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay? The most effective thing that you can do in your life. And guys, when I say the most effective, I don't mean if you want to build a house. I don't mean if you want to connect a power outlet to an extension cord. I'm speaking strictly in terms of career, wealth, success, growing your personal worth. If you're after that, if that's what you want to do, you must prioritize the perspective of your potential client over yourself in every situation, bar none, full stop, no questions asked. Does anybody refute that or not understand why that is?
I would ask you to go more into detail if you could explain.
I'm about to. So here's how it works, guys, okay? When we're a human being, we want to believe, there's something called the human condition, okay? The characteristics of the human condition are as follows. They are things about us, okay? Intrinsic things about human beings that have two qualities. Number one, they are shared by humans and only humans. And number two, they are shared by all humans, okay? So a quality of the human condition is, let me ask you a question. Would part of the human condition be feeling pain when struck with a physical object? Just tell me why. Chris says no. Why? Because an animal would feel the same thing. That's exactly right. Okay? Monkey's gonna go, ow, okay? It's very simple. It's something that's universal and it's carried across all people, all things essentially that have nerves, okay? The human condition is more of a mental thing. It's more of a, not even self-aware thing, but more of a constant as a human being, okay? There are certain elements of the human condition that are relevant to selling, and not only relevant, extremely important, fundamentally important. As if you don't know them or you're not aware of them, you are at a gross disadvantage, okay? The first one, and mind you guys, we sell sales training, okay? It's what we do for a living. This is free. Understand exactly what's going on today, okay? The frequency of authenticity is 4 times stronger than anything else I can give you. I can give you angry. I can give you happy. I can give you sad. And I can put myself into those mind states like a Hollywood actor because I can project my mind to those places. But the only one that I can give you that you will receive at a 4 times higher rate than any other one that I give you is authenticity. Understanding the perspective of another individual has to do with that one piece of the human condition, the frequency of authenticity, okay? What I mean by that is this. When you're talking to a customer, Customer wants to know what the monthly payment, you sell campers, right? Okay. Customer wants to know what the monthly payment is, okay? They've told you that they want to be $500 a month or less. They're going to put $10,000 down. They want XYZ trailer, whatever it is. Pretend we're on one that costs $700 a month with that same math, okay? Chris, tell me it's going to be $20,000 down. It's going to be $799 a month. Hit me with that news right now. Knowing full well that I want to be 10 grand down, $500 a month, hit me with 20 grand down, $799 a month. How would you hit me with that?
So I noticed the camper that you guys love in the budget that you gave me
Yeah.
beforehand. Unfortunately, we're a little bit off, but we can get you pretty close here, being at $799 a month. We just have to double your down payment.
Okay. So that was principally false, incorrect, okay? Now, understand something about Chris. That was perfect, where he works at. That's probably exactly how he was trained, I'm assuming. Okay? It's only this much more. I know that this is the camper you guys want. You reaffirmed. This is the camper that you guys wanted and you loved, okay? But unfortunately, that's where you started to hear the sound of the engine quitting, okay? And then you said, and you started to say what the monthly payment was. That's the sound of the plane starting in the downward trajectory, and you can hear the engine starting to spit and sputter, okay? And then we said, and double your down payment. That's when the fuselage hit the ground and everybody died and it was an accident, okay? The question then becomes, in real life, if I go to my desk manager, now just so you guys know, and so you know, Peter, I don't know how familiar you guys are with tangible asset sales and selling cars and RVs and things like that, but Chris is in an environment, most likely, if I'm wrong, speak up, okay, where he takes a customer, he greets them, he lightly qualifies them, shows them a product, gets them to magnify their interest in it, and then he brings them in, goes to his manager, explains what he has, gets served a set of figures, brings them to the customer, and tries to close the deal. Am I pretty close? Okay, he lives in that environment, okay? So when he goes to the manager, what he's thinking right now, potentially, I could be wrong, but if I'm Chris, I'm probably going, okay, Luke, that's great. But when I go in and I talk to my manager, and I know that they want to be $599 a month, and I know they've only got 10 grand down, how the hell am I supposed to come out excited and authentic that I think that's a great deal? Let me ask you a question. Does Camping World engage in fraud? No. Do they engage in malicious and nefarious sales tactics? Do they try to pull the wool over your eyes and just lie to people? Okay, it could feel that way sometimes, okay? I understand that. But they can't break the law and just lie, right? Okay, so what I mean by that is this. The math is the math, okay? Here's what you gotta understand. Just because your customer says, I wanna pay 10 grand down and be $500 a month means nothing. Means nothing. Let me say it again, means nothing. Unless the vehicle, camper, product, service you're on with 10 grand down equals $599 a month. If it don't, then it means nothing, okay? The reason it means nothing is because if you can't get there, it ain't important, okay? What's important is what you need to do. Now, if you know that they love the camper, if you know that that's the product that they want, and you know that your manager can get them approved for that payment with that money down on that camper, guess what? It's a great deal. Do you want to know why? Let me ask you a question. Do banks engage in a practice of not making money?
No.
Banks are pretty good judges of who should borrow money and who shouldn't. Yeah, they've kind of been around a long time, okay? Do banks profit when they lend money? If you don't know the answer is yes. Banks lend money, they then charge you an interest rate on it to pay it back. It's how they gain their profit as a lender, okay? So the question I would ask you is, do you think banks regularly engage in a practice of letting people borrow money that shouldn't have the money?
No.
No. Let me ask you a further question. Do you think if my iPhone is worth $1,000, and I go to a bank and I say, hey bank, Chris wants to buy this phone. Chris has good credit. We want to finance $5,000. And if Chris doesn't pay, you can have this $1,000 iPhone. Do you think the bank will underwrite that loan? Peter? No. Why not?
Because it basically is a loss for them if they was going to try to recoup their money back.
You're a smart man, Peter. That's a fact, okay? If I said, hey man, I want to buy those sunglasses off you, I'll give you a penny. You gonna sell them to me? No? Well, what about your car? I'll give you $100 for it. You gonna sell it to me? No, you're gonna laugh and say I'm ridiculous, right? So if you understand that a bank letting somebody borrow money for something that ain't a good deal and is a risk for them is as asinine as me buying your sunglasses for a penny or your car for $100, guess what you can also authentically believe? That anything your manager gives you to go sell your customer is a great deal. And you can justify it with the same logic that I just gave you. Well, Mr. Customer, I mean, let me ask you a question. If I told you this iPhone was worth $500 and I wanted to borrow 10 grand, and if I didn't pay 10 grand back, you could have my iPhone, would you let me borrow the money? Hell no, right? Okay, let me ask you this question. If I then said, this iPhone, I want to borrow $1, and if I don't pay the dollar back, you can have my $500 iPhone, would you do that? Well, yeah. Guys, this is called a pre-frame. Write that down. Pre-frame. Don't ever ask your customer a question unless you already know the answer. Use the pre-frame to ensure you get the answer you want to get. Now, salespeople and sales trainers all over the world get this mistaken for what I call a string of yeses. Shane, let me ask you a question. Is the wall white?
Yes.
Is the light bright?
Couldn't see it from the side, but
Is the light bright?
yes.
Okay. On a windy day, can you fly a kite?
Yes.
Do these muscles mean might?
Right.
It's a good deal, right? Yeah, baby. Okay? That's horse shit. That's what shitty salespeople do. And that's what shitty sales trainers train. Just get them saying yes, dude, and then throw that question in there. No, don't do that. Put them in a position where they cannot say no to you, okay? Here is an example. Chris, if I was gonna buy this iPhone and I wanted you to let me borrow the money to buy it, and the iPhone was worth $500, and I wanted a loan for 10 grand, and if I didn't pay the 10 grand, would you let me have the iPhone, or that you'd have the iPhone as collateral? Would you do that loan? No, not a chance, right? How about this? $500 iPhone is the collateral. I want to borrow $1 for one day. If I don't pay it back tomorrow, you can have the $500 iPhone. Are you going to do that loan? Okay. Do you think the banks use the same logic? Do you think they're going to let you borrow money on something that's not a good deal and they're going to lose money on? Chris, it's a great deal, man. You just said it yourself by virtue of your own logic. You know the bank's not going to let you do anything that's not a good deal. You see the excitement in me. I do this every single day. Buddy, you said 500 with 10 grand down. We both knew that wasn't going to happen, okay? Look me in my eyes and tell me you knew for a fact that was going to happen. You and I both know you can't do it. And Chris, it's not about you don't have the ability or you're not smart. It's because you did what every customer does. You came in and threw your dream figure out there, and I appreciate and I respect that. But you know just as well as I do that math plus math equals math, and this math makes sense. Would you agree? Okay. Pre-frame. I ask you a series of questions that make logical sense. Perfect logical sense. Not obvious yeses. That is horseshit. That is weak. Do sunglasses block your eyes from the sun? Does tuna fish taste bad if you don't mix it with mayonnaise? Is carpet more comfortable to sleep on than tile? Yes. Okay, well, it's a great deal. Like, to me, that's the equivalent of using a string of yeses. Yes, Peter?
I got a question. So,
Of course.
using the bank analysis.
Using a what?
The bank.
Your bank analysis, yep.
To secure a deal, in any deal.
Yes, sir.
If you was able to put up more of the collateral than what you're looking for, it should always be secured. That deal to you, to your benefit. So let's say, for example,
Are we talking about banking or selling?
sell it in anything.
Okay.
In any analogy, whether
Sure.
it's banking, whether it's get to loan,
Okay.
whether it's like you selling the car where you say, listen, if anything, I guarantee that I would take this and you would get majority. But giving somebody more for what it's worth, if you could guarantee them that, would you always be able to get a deal closed with that type of logic?
Absolutely no questions asked beyond a shadow of a doubt, and let me explain why, okay? Write this down. That's a great question, Peter. Now that's actually part of what we're going to get to today, okay? But I believe in chance. You want to bring it up now? We'll talk about it now, okay? When the value exceeds the ask, a transaction happens immediately. Or you can put always. Always is probably more relevant. A transaction happens always, okay? Let me give you an example. Chris, give me $80 and you can have this. We got a deal? Give me $60 and you can have this. We got a deal? Give me $5 and you can have this. We got a deal? Give me $105 and you can have this. We got a deal? Give me 100 and you can have this. We got a deal? Okay. It's that simple. Okay? Now, that's easy because this does not have a perceived value. This has an actual value. Okay? Now, Chris, give me that plastic pen cap and I'll perform 1,000 push-ups here in front of everybody. We got a deal? Huh? Yeah. Fucking plastic pen cap to watch a guy do 1,000 push-ups? Sure, right? The perceived ask, a plastic pen cap, versus watching a man do 1,000 push-ups in real life? Yeah, sure, okay. Chris, give me $100, I'll give you 100 push-ups. Deal? Okay. Give me $100, I will repaint your house. Deal? Okay. You getting it? Okay. I do 1,000 push-ups, and he's only got to give me a pen cap. Why not? Right? Not really costing me much. Kind of an entertainment value. I'll make that exchange. Okay. Give me $90 and you'll give me 100. Hell yeah, I come up 10. Give me 105 and you can have 100. Go take a piss, bro. I'm not losing $5. Understand that that's how your customer's mind works, okay? Anytime the value, to your point, Peter, anytime the value exceeds the ask, a transaction happens. Inevitably. It's part of the human condition. A human is not going to let something pass them by that, number one, they're capable of, okay? I will refer to this later. Keep that in mind. Number one, they are capable of, okay? They must have the ability, okay? Because here's what some people will do. They will get this twisted. And they'll say, well, dude, I offered the guy a Dodge Charger, Hemi, Hellcat, Redline, MSRP of $134,000. I offered him 20 grand off for 105 grand, and the dude passed on it. Value does not always, if the value exceeds the ask, a transaction does not always happen. Wrong. That motherfucker didn't think a Hellcat was worth 85 grand. Or that motherfucker didn't have the 85 grand. Okay? You cannot engage in a transaction if you don't have the means by which to engage it. Okay? So here's what salespeople will do. They will say, I have a customer. I'm giving this customer a great deal. He knows it's a great deal. Let me replay a scenario for you that I see all the time in my car dealerships, okay? Comes up to the desk. I'm working the desk. Hey, Luke. What's up, John? Got this guy downstairs. Test drove the truck. Likes the truck. Wanted to be under $400 a month with 5 grand of his tax money down. And he's got the 5 grand. I checked. He showed it to me on his phone, okay? You'll understand why we do that later, okay? And dude, like he's just not going to make a deal today, dude. He's just not. I say, okay, what brought him here? Well, he saw our truck online, and he saw it on Car Gurus, and he wanted to come look at it, so he called. I made an appointment with him, and he thoroughly vetted and got that information, okay? He's here now. We test drove the truck. Everything went fine. He said the test drive was good. Come back. We worked numbers. He said he wanted to be 5 grand down, under $400 a month. We're 60 months. We're there. I said, we're there. He's just got to think about it. Write this down. Nobody wants to think about it. Nobody wants to think about it. Chris, I've got 10, are you married? I've got 10 beautiful blonde Victoria's Secret models in a van. Here's the keys. It's out front running. There's 10 grand cash on the seat. Go. Are you going? Of course you're going. Okay? You got to think about it. You want to think about, no, you don't want to think about it. You want to think about how quickly can I get the door open, right? Okay, you ain't thinking about shit, okay? Shane, here's a box with 10 grand in it. Would you like to open it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go home and think about it?
I want to see it.
You want it, right? Okay. Guys, nobody wants to think about it. When it makes sense, they want to transact. Here's what I want to think about it means. You have not uncovered reality. That's what I want to think about it means, okay? So let's go back to that example of John. I say, John, do you want to go back downstairs and do your job? Or would you like me to TO your deal and solve it in 30 seconds? You're not TOing this deal in 30 seconds. I'm not? No. Okay. Hey, Mr. Customer, how you doing? I'm Luke. Nice to meet you. Thanks so much for coming to CNY Drives. John says you drove the Ram that you saw in Car Gurus. Yes, I did. Okay, and he says you want to think about it. Right, yeah. What went wrong on the test drive? Huh? Sir, very frankly, you came here to look at a truck. You knew the price. You knew the terms. You knew the truck. Was there a dent in the truck you didn't see online? No. So what went wrong on the test drive? Well, I heard a rattle coming from the front right when I went over Dix Road Railroad tracks. I think something might be rusty or messed up on the frame, so I'm kind of turned off about the truck. Looked at John and I said, 23 seconds. Okay? I unearthed the pain point, the objection, the issue in 23 seconds, simply by using logic. Okay? Now, my experience in the car business in selling higher mileage used cars also played into my ability to get there so quickly, okay? But had I not had any experience, I would have then simply put the customer through a line of questioning as follows. You came here to look at the red Ram. Yes. That red Ram out there, do you want to see that in your driveway? Do you want to drive that vehicle every day back and forth to work? Do you love it? No. Why not? Well, I don't know, I just kind of want to think about it. Sir, we're both human beings. When people want something, they don't think about it, they buy. I'm not here to pressure you to do anything. Frankly, I don't want you to buy that truck anymore. I don't want your business because I can tell you're not thrilled about it. I only want your business if you're thrilled. You're disarming them. Their guard goes down. Okay, I'm not in danger of getting sold anything anymore. But what I need to know so I can help the next guy. What's wrong with that truck? Something's wrong with it, why you don't want it. You wanted it online, you don't want it in person. Where did the disconnect happen? Well, I looked up under the wheel wells, I saw some rust that kind of turned me off. I didn't see that rust on the website, and I don't want the truck. Great, okay? Guys, very simply. When somebody wants something, they buy it. They don't want to think about it, okay? And when the value exceeds the ask, a transaction happens, okay? So now, customer wanted to be what? Does anybody remember? How much down, how much a month? Yes, sir. $5 grand down, $400 a month. Now, I say, hey, Mr. Jones, wait 1 second. He waits 1 second. I have the reconditioner girl, the recon manager, pull around a truck that's 3 years newer, 40,000 less miles, $5 grand more expensive, $100 more a month. Mr. Customer, do me a favor before you go. Take a look at that truck. All right, I guess I'm all the way out here. I'll go take a look at it. Where's this truck from? Pennsylvania. Man, this thing's clean. It's the cleanest, Mr. Customer. Is that a Hemi? 5.7 liters of hemispherical head, sir. It is a Hemi. Damn, that's a nice, that sounds kind of good, doesn't it? Nothing better sounding than a Hemi, sir. How much you want for this one? Just $5 grand more than the other one? Oh, Jesus, $5 grand more. How much more would that be a month? Only $100. Can I drive it? Sure you can. And guess what? I walk away knowing we have a deal, okay? Why? Because he's asking buying questions. How much more is this truck going to cost me? How much more is it going to be on a monthly basis? May I please drive it? After I know how much it costs, after I know how much more it costs per month, may I drive it? The only way you're not selling that truck is if the fucking wheel falls off when he goes down the road. Who doesn't understand why? If you don't raise your hand, it's important. Everybody understands why? Shane, why? Why do you know you have a deal at that point?
He sounds more, interested, like you said, buying the truck. Just all depends on the test drive.
Right, but how do we walk away knowing that that guy's buying a vehicle? Let me ask you a question. If you saw those sunglasses sitting on a rack in the store and you absolutely despised them, would you ask me how much they cost?
No.
If you saw that yellow Nike hoodie sitting on the rack and you had $30 available on your credit card and it said $65, would you try to buy it? It's not within your financial means, okay? When I told him how much it cost, he said, okay. When I told him how much it cost per month, he said, okay. And then he said, well, can I drive it? Okay. There are very few people that will try on an outfit if they can't afford it, okay? And there's a big difference between trying on an outfit at a store that you're already in and going all the way to a dealership that is somewhere else that you had to drive to, use your own resources to get to, using up your own time, and then continue to go through the process of test driving and dealing with a salesperson who's gonna batter you and try to get you to buy something, okay? You ain't engaging in that process unless you wanna buy that vehicle, okay? Guys, as you continue to learn the art of selling, as you continue to learn the human condition, and as you continue to learn how to leverage the frequency of authenticity, you too will get to a point where you can walk away from a conversation knowing that you have a deal before the individual even says yes or no. When the value exceeds the ask, a transaction happens. This is incredibly important, guys. Remember when I told you I was TOing that deal for John? And I went downstairs and I just immediately went to, what's wrong with the truck, okay? The reason I knew to go there was because a customer does not show up at a place, advertisement in hand, seek out a particular vehicle, look it over, test drive it, then it falls in line immediately with their financial goals, and then goes, nope, I don't want to transact. Okay. Chris, you want to role play? Get up here. Give a hand for Chris. There you go. Okay. So Chris, I know that it's nerve-wracking, I know that it's intimidating, I know there's lights, I know there's all of it, okay? But try to dismiss that from your head. Understand that I'm just a random schmuck from Central New York just like you, okay? And we're just gonna talk, okay? So, give me your presentation. Talk to me like I'm a customer walking through the door. Greet me, get me to an RV, and get me sold. What's that? Zero rapport. My name is Randy Watson, okay?
How you doing today, Mr. Watson? I'm Chris.
Hey, how are you, Chris? Nice to meet you. Yeah, actually give it to him. There you go. Here, clip that on your shirt real quick. It's just a lavalier microphone. It just makes
How
it
do I
so
clip this thing?
just like that. You got it.
There we go.
There you go. Okay. I'm Randy Watson. Nice to
Randy,
meet you.
nice to meet you. I'm Chris.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
So you ever been to Camping World before, or is this the first time you ever stopped in?
We went to the state fair here a couple years ago, and we drove through and seen y'all had that big old American flag.
Okay.
And that kind of turned us on because we're patriots.
Hey.
And then we came through here seeing some nice equipment, and this year's looking like we might be able to finally afford something like this, so that's why we stopped.
Okay, so we've never had a camper before then, is what you're saying.
Well, I guess you want to call my pop-up a camper, yeah, but I mean, the skaters can get through the holes about that big.
Hey, it's doing the job, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, nice, nice. So if anything, we're gonna go sit down at the table real quick. Hypothetically, we are.
Okay.
So, all right, so you said that you own pop-up right now.
Well, I just kind of want to go look at some of these campers first before we get into all that.
Oh yeah, but with respect to your time, I want to make sure we're looking at the right thing, right? Isn't that what you came here to do today?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I know what the right one is. We want that gray one right over there.
Oh, that gray one right there?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So you already know everything about it then.
I mean, no, I probably would like you to tell me a little bit
Okay.
about it, but I don't think we need to sit down and really go through all the nuances of that just to take a look at it. I mean, we just look at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it, but we want to make sure you're putting it in the right unit. What if I have other options that might fit your needs a little bit better than that?
Well, I mean, I guess we could discover that once we looked at it and said that that wasn't the one.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that, but I'd rather just, like I said, in respect to your time, sit down and make sure that we got the best plan to approach this.
Well, here's what I know, Chris. I've been to a lot of places, and you know what they do is they come in, they sit me down, and then we go through all that, and then they try to show me something that I don't really want. And frankly, sir, I just want to look at the camper. Can I just look at the camper?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. If you like what you like, you know what I mean? Can't argue that.
Okay.
I'm with you all the way there. So let's go take a peek at it then.
Okay.
See how we feel.
All right, so we go, we look at it, I like it, everything looks good. Okay, yeah, man, so how much you need to be able to tow? How much does this thing weigh?
Probably about 4,000 pounds.
Okay, my truck will do that then. Okay,
Yeah.
shit. All right, man. Well, hell, I mean, it's a nice camper. Y'all were real nice to us today. So we're going to go home. We're going to think about it, go over the budget, make sure it makes sense, and yeah, we'll get back with you.
You said this camper's already the one that you know you want. This is why we wanted to sit down a little bit earlier and figure this out. What is it that we still need to think about?
Well, I mean, it's $85,000, man. That ain't exactly, that's more than I paid for my first house. So we got to do some thinking.
How long ago did you buy your first house?
About 3 years.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So times have changed a little bit. You know, COVID definitely took a hit. So economy's changed a little bit. But if you said this is the camper that you wanted today, what made you think that, you know what I mean, the $85,000 was an issue at the time?
Well, I think $85,000 is $85,000, and before we just spend it, we want to really think about it and talk about it.
So when you came in here today, I know you said that you really liked the American flag. That's what attracted you to here and everything like that.
Okay.
What exactly were we trying to do?
Look at a camper.
Just look at a camper? Okay. Okay.
Okay, turn around.
Yep.
Welcome to Camping World, man. My name is Luke, and you are?
Chris,
Chris, nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you, Luke.
What can I do for you, my friend?
want to look at a camper? We just took a peek at one outside.
Okay. Which one did you look at?
The gray one over there.
Did you want to take a closer look at it?
No, we already pretty much looked at it, so.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, Chris. What brought you here today?
Should I be using the same thing as you, or
No, just pick up your own, whatever. Be whoever you want to be. Be a difficult
I'm
customer.
a little
Be
sick
a
of-
difficult customer,
Okay.
but don't be an unrealistic douchebag.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
If I get there, don't be like, no, fuck you. Why? Because I like pink, homie, and you ain't got no pink campers. Okay. Just be real. Okay.
right.
But be as difficult as you want to be.
Yeah, okay. That's definitely
So I'm going to
understandable.
ask you, what brought you here today? And you said.
Want to take a peek at a camper. Mine's pretty much a piece of junk. I've had it for a while now, and I'm just not happy with it anymore. So want to see what's going on.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you have a camper currently. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, Chris, is that camper something that you want to replace? Like, we'll take trade-in sometimes. People will bring their camper in, they'll swap it out, kind of get some money off the next one. Was that a process you were looking to do, or are you going to sell yours, keep yours? What was the plan?
I don't really know yet. We got a few options that we can, you know what I mean, explore at that point. So
Okay.
Still undecided there.
Understood. Now, when you say a couple options that you need to explore, what are you referring to?
Oh, one of my buddies.
Aside from trading.
Yeah, one of my buddies definitely really wants it. I don't know if he wants to pay anything or anything like that. And then my kid's growing up, so I might just end up giving it to them instead so that they can get started in this and maybe go along with me eventually.
Man, you're an awfully nice dad. Can you give him a camper? I got a 1994 Taurus with a bad transmission and rusted rocker panels. You're giving people a freaking travel trailer? I'm living in the wrong part of the United States. Okay, well listen, man, that's really nice that you would do that. So I guess my question would be, in your shopping, if you're kind of undecided with what you're doing with your camper, does that process at all play into you buying another camper?
Possibly.
Okay, help me understand that and unpack that.
Because I don't know what my buddy would give it to me if I sell it, and then if I end up giving it to them, then it doesn't really matter at that point.
Makes perfect sense. So then let me ask you this question, just because I want to make sure I use your time as effectively as possible. You said you may give it to your children, but you may sell it to your buddy, right? Mm-hmm. What would be the number that he would have to pay you to where you would say it's more valuable than giving it to your child?
I don't know. I think I'd have to talk to my child a little bit more and make sure it's something that they're actually going to do to where it's worth giving it to them at that
So
point.
you're not even 1,000% sure your child wants it?
No, we've talked about it a little bit, but never been a deep discussion. So.
Okay, understood. So let me ask you this question then. Let's say your buddy made you a cash offer for your camper. What would be the number where you would say, sorry, son, Randy gave me X amount of dollars. I couldn't pass that up. We need the money. We're going to go that route instead of this route. Ballpark.
At least 5,000-6,000.
Okay, so if I understand you and I'm hearing you correctly, and the reason I reiterate this back to you is because I want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Okay, your time is very precious. If your friend gave you $5,000 to $6,000 for your camper, that would then eliminate the potential for giving it to your son.
Probably. Unless he really put up a fuss about it.
Okay, so let's say he really does put up a fuss or a fight. Are you then giving it to him?
If he's actually going to use it, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. What would be the number that your neighbor, your friend, whomever would have to get at to where you would completely put your son out of the equation? Or would that even be a possibility?
Over 5 figures, I'd probably tell him to fuck off.
Over 5 figures. Okay, so you're saying
$10,000.
$10,000?
Yep. 10,000 or more.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's realistic that your camper's worth 10,000? I don't know. I haven't even asked you what it is, so I'm certainly not debating that with you. It's just a genuine question. Could it actually be worth 10 grand? I mean, if it was here on our parking lot, would you pay 10 grand for it?
I think so. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Been nice. Just had it a while now.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Do you think your friend is capable of paying 10 grand for it?
Pretty close. He makes some good money.
Okay, so then if he gives 10 grand, he's out of the equation. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I asked that question again, Chris, I just want to use your time as effectively as possible. Okay, so it sounds like originally you told me that you wouldn't engage in the purchase of a camper until you figured out what was going wrong with your camper. That was accurate, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay, well, where am I missing?
I still might just have to think it over a little bit. You know, I just came in here kind of wandering around and
Think what
ended up
over?
walking into this. The whole idea of it.
Of your camper or this camper? Because
Of
I'm
both.
not talking about this camper right now.
No.
So your camper, the $10,000, does that make it so it's no longer
Oh,
going
yeah.
to your son?
Yeah.
Yes, definitively, no questions
Yeah.
asked. Okay,
Yeah.
because what I'm trying to establish here is $10,000 goes to that camper. It's no longer playing into whether or not you're buying a camper. Is that accurate?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we've eliminated that from the equation. Okay, this is a teaching moment. I'm not saying this to you, the customer. I'm saying this to you, Chris, and to the class. I've eliminated the objection.
Yeah.
It's gone. Okay? If we can give him 10 grand for that, we've got a deal. Now, the salespeople in the room are going, well, what if you can't give him 10 grand for it, dumbass? It's not a problem. So what I did is I took the objection, I put it over here.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now is I'm working towards committing him to saying yes at what the object is that he's looking to buy. Once he says yes, I'll engage in business today. Something happens in his mind where a domino falls. Now he's committed to buying today. Now all the other stuff just becomes little shit we got to figure out. But until I get somebody today to say, yes, I'm going to do business with you today, I'm fucked. I've got nothing. So I have to continue to scratch, claw, and dig, unearth the objections, which we just unearthed about fucking 4 of them, okay, at the outset, right? So now the objection of the trade-in is gone for the moment, okay? So now we step back into the role play. Okay, Chris, so now that we've discussed the trade-in, I appreciate you giving me those answers. It helps me get a better grasp for what you're looking to do, and it helps me be much more efficient with your time. So when you came here today, what brought you here today?
Figure out what's out there. I haven't looked at campers in over 5 years since I bought this one, so
Okay.
don't really know what's going on anymore.
Yesterday you were also interested in campers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question then, Chris, is what is special about today? Let me give you, for instance, some people say, well, a tree just fell on my camper yesterday, so we weren't necessarily going to do something until the tree fell on the camper, and that spurred me to then want to come out and look at campers, okay? I have some customers say, the divorce is just finalized with the old battle axe, so now I can actually finally go out and shop. Some people say, I never get a lunch break from work, but today I got one, so it gave me an hour to get out and look at campers. So I'm just curious, what was your reason for today at 4:15 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Got the day off.
You got the day off. Okay, so we've got some time.
Yeah, for the most part.
Appreciate that. Let me ask you a question, Chris, just because I don't want to kind of go over your limits and get you into a point where you're uncomfortable. What would you say time frame wise have we got to work with today?
What time did you say it was?
4:15.
4:15, probably an hour or two at most.
About an hour to 2. Appreciate that. That just helps me understand if I got to rush and go grab a brochure and give you my business card, or if I can actually show you some of the features and benefits that we have. So thank you very much for that. Okay, guys, do you see what I'm doing? I'm just continuing to unearth information and data. I'm moving towards something. You'll see where in a moment, okay? So Chris, I want to make sure I've got this right. So you're here today because it's your day off. That's kind of time-wise why we're here, okay? Yeah. You said your camper's getting old and shot and you want to get it gone and get something new, okay? Let me ask you this question. When you bought your last camper, did you pay cash for that or did you leverage like a bank and pay for it over time?
I put a good chunk down.
Okay.
So got the bank involved though.
You got the bank involved?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Financed it. Do you plan on purchasing the next camper the same way or are you going to do it a different way?
Probably the same way, depending on what you guys can do for me.
Okay, do you notice I'm not saying, are you going to finance this camper or are you going to pay cash for this camper? Okay, those are questions that are a little bit more invasive than the questions that I'm asking, which are a much different thing. Last time you bought a camper, did you leverage the power of a bank and pay over time same thing as financing? Or did you just get it done all at once? You told me I put some money down and I paid over time. Guess what I've got now? I've got money down. Because if we get to the closing table, and he says, dude, you ain't at my payment. I say, dude, you put money down last time. Guys, I'm getting every detail now. Most salespeople, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, would just go, okay, you're looking for let me just make it very simple, no disrespect. They would do what Chris did, which is a little bit of late qualifying, asking some questions, and then kind of just hitting that wall, and then like, all right, fine, look at the camera, you fucker, you got me, right? Never happens with Paid to Persuade. It just doesn't. It can't. Not if you follow the system, okay? Yeah. The discipline. I hate the word system. Everybody's got a fucking system. This is a discipline. It's a way of behaving, okay? So, Chris, back to the role play. Okay. We've established that the trade-in's no longer a thing, okay? We've established that today is your day off. We've established that we got a couple hours. So you've committed a couple hours to us today. We've also established that you're going to be financing the next one. You're going to kind of do it the way you planned, or the same way you did it last time, correct?
Most likely.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. So, Chris, my only other question for you would be, if you are leveraging the power of bank and paying over time, most people don't know this, but there are 3 types of camper financing, okay? One is called prime financing. These are people that generally have a 740 or above credit score. They have financed campers in the past. They've had multiple recreational loans. The banks know who they are. They know who the banks are. They have low credit card balances, extremely high credit score. They get the best rates and terms that are available, and these people know exactly who they are. Then we have what's called full spectrum RV financing or camper financing. These are people who fall between a 640 and a 739 credit score. They've had loans before for maybe cars, motorcycles, campers, to where the bank knows they have experience with these type of installment debts. They have maybe a blemish on their credit here or there, maybe a high credit card balance, which causes them to fall below that prime category, but they're still certainly financeable and sometimes need a little bit of money down. Okay? That is the full spectrum category. Then we have something that the banks call subprime camper financing. What subprime camper financing is individuals that have a 639 credit score or below. They have had delinquent credit obligations in the past. They're sometimes currently delinquent. If they've had a camper loan, it's gone bad, or they may have never had a camper loan, okay? These people kind of call themselves bad credit. Perfectly okay, we work with them too. They also know who they are. So out of the 3 types of RV and camper financing, which one would you say that you fall in?
The good one. I don't miss payments.
The prime? Okay. Yeah. So your credit score is above a 740. You've had camper loans in the past. Your credit's currently in good standing, and you know you qualify for the best rates and terms out there. Yeah. Perfect. Chris, understand, the reason we ask this question is not because we want to be nosy, it's because as somebody who has good credit and has worked as hard as you have to get the credit that you have, somebody like you is intelligent enough to understand that some people don't know where they stand. Mm-hmm. They may look at an RV that's way out of their abilities, and then they get very upset when we get to the closing table and they can't, let alone afford it, they can't even buy it, okay? So I can't do you the disrespect. I mean, when I see you, Chris, I see a guy that probably has good credit and has his stuff together, okay? But if I assume that, that kind of makes me unfair, doesn't it? Yeah. That's why I have to ask the question. Thank you for understanding. I appreciate you, okay? So, Chris, we've established a few things. You got some time here today. The trade-in is no longer a pain point as far as buying the next one, okay? We know that you're going to qualify for the financing to get what you want, and we know that you've got 2 hours to give us here today, okay? Mm-hmm. The question I have for you, Chris, in 1 to 2 hours, you're going to pull out the parking lot, drive back by that giant American flag with my business card in hand, okay? The question is, by that time, what would you have liked to accomplish today by the time you hit that point?
I don't know yet. Depends on if you show me something like I like, maybe I'll move forward. Might have to talk it over with the wife.
Understood, okay? Chris, let me ask you a question. When you and your wife discussed purchasing a camper, did you guys discuss anything in regards to what type?
Nah.
Okay, so she doesn't even know what kind of camper you want?
No.
Okay.
I just told her we might get a new one.
Okay, and are you the person that makes the decision, or does she need to be involved as well?
Well, I'm the one who moves and sets it up, but she helps pay for it, so
okay.
Need a little bit of both.
So she's involved in the decision-making process?
Yeah.
Understood. Perfectly okay. Chris, I actually like that because honestly, I get a lot of people that come in here and make decisions without their significant other, and it makes a hell of a headache for me the next day when we're taking cancellations. So I'd rather not sell you something today, have you go home and think about it with your wife, make sure it's the right decision for you, come back in with that warm, fuzzy feeling, and if the product is still here, then you move forward with it comfortably. So that makes perfect sense to me. So just out of curiosity then, one last question I kind of need the answer to before we can proceed, okay? So here at Camping World, we have 3 categories of pricing, okay? One is called our everyday low prices. You can walk in here any day of the week, buy a camper, order a camper at that price. It's the price of the camper, sticker price, a lot of people call it, okay? Then we have something called advertised specials or circulars. These are prices that are on the campers that if they're on like a special or an advertisement or an internet blowout, they're priced accordingly, and those prices are about usually like 10-15% off, maybe 5 depending on the advertisement, and those usually run at 7-day intervals, okay? Then we have something called closeout deals and hot list campers, okay? These are things that somebody may have purchased and returned same day because of, like we said, the husband and wife not getting along. There's plenty of that happens. Mattresses aren't slept on, just got one scratch on the trailer ball, right? But they're drastically discounted. We also have vehicles on that hit list that are things that have been inventory, it's been sitting for a long time. It's taking up a lot of our floor plan line of credit. We've paid a ton of interest on it, and the managers want it gone. So the day before the auction that we send the campers to, or before the factory sale that we send them back to, they give us a list by email that has all of those hit list products on it, and they are ridiculously low discounts. They are sometimes as much as 30, 35, even 40% off the sticker price, okay? So the question that I have for you, which price ranges do you want to see today? Do you want to see just the everyday low prices, the sticker price that everybody pays any day of the week? Do you want to see the circulars and the advertised specials? Or do you want to see some of those closeout prices that are same day prices, but they're the cheapest ones we can give you?
Yeah, well, obviously I want the best deal, but it's got to fit my needs, so doesn't matter.
So which one would you like to see? All of them or just one? Or?
I guess best deal to start.
Okay, so Chris, I just want to reiterate to you, because you kind of said 2 things that conflict a little bit, and it's probably because I didn't explain it properly, so I want to re-explain it, okay? So you had said to me that your wife needs to be involved. She's not here, so we can't do anything same day. But then you said you wanted to see the closeout deals, which are the most drastic discounts, which I also mentioned are only good same day because they go to factory sale the next day. So if I show you one of those closeout deals and you need to go home and think about it and talk to it, which I fully respect and I encourage you to do if that's what your family needs to do to make this make sense, that's not going to be here the next day. And I would be hanging myself if I showed you one of those, got you excited about it, knowing full well it's not going to be here tomorrow. So I'm happy to show you those closeout deals, but what you must know before you look at them is those are vehicles that you would have to engage in same day to get those values. So now that I've clarified, Chris, which ones would you like to see?
I don't know if I'm going to do anything today, so I guess we could still look at those ones, but we'll look at the other ones that you said are a week-long clearance or whatever it was.
Okay, so it sounds like what I'm hearing you say, and we're going to go look at campers now because I'm sick of talking and I've got dry mouth. Thank you so much for giving me all this information. But I want to make sure. Sounds like I'm hearing you say, if the deal is fantastic and I like the camper, there's a chance I may do business today. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you don't suck at your job, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a problem, Chris. I do suck at my job. You still willing to talk to me?
I don't know.
You seem like you have a sense of humor, Chris. Will you work with me a little bit?
Yeah,
Just give me a shitty survey and buy something, okay? Pretty fucking spectacular, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see what I'm doing here? Okay. Now tell me this. Say, no, Luke, I only want to see the everyday low prices.
Just the everyday low prices.
Okay. And that's because there's no chance that you would engage today, even if the prices were 50% off. Is that correct? Say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's go take a look at those. Guys, not everyone's going to buy today, okay? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen it done like that before?
No, not to that extent.
Not to that extent, right? No. You've never seen somebody sit there and qualify. Now, just so you know, we would not be standing next to the gumball machine doing this. Yeah. We would be walking, talking. I'd walk you through service. Here, Chris, when we go out to look at campers, here's the service department. By the way, there's 3 groups of financing. I'm going to stay animated. I'm going to keep talking to you. But let me ask you a question. Let's say we go look at a camper, and it's the closeout price, okay? And guess what? It's going to magically be the closeout price when we land on the one that you want to see, okay? Do you understand how that works?
Yeah.
We're just going to go look at campers, okay? You're not going to say, well, Luke, show me those closeout specials, okay? And if we do that, I can show you one and say, Chris, there's many others, but before we go just kind of going one to one to one, let's try to get an idea of what you like first. Yeah. You're a human. The human condition is you're going to want to see the shiny shit that you want. So you're going to take my lead and you're going to go there, okay? Yeah. What the 3 groups of pricing does is it funnels you down to understanding whether or not you have any potential of closing that sale that day, okay? Now, here's what you can understand. And Chris, you did a great job. Okay, everybody give Chris a hand. And just so you know, guys, Chris is a very good salesman. Now, what you guys witnessed when I role played with Chris is what is called compassionate interrogation, okay? I did not let up. He said, he was so nonchalant, yeah, just driving around. He did exactly what customers do to him every day, did you not? Okay, yeah, just driving around. I'm with you, Chris, everybody's just driving around. But why today? No, it's because I want to look at some campers. Here's what average salespeople do. I just want to look at some campers. Okay, dude, you just want to look at some. That's cool, man. Any camper in particular? That's usually the next question. What kind of price range did you want to be at, right? You're smirking because you know it's facts, Chris. This is the fucking downfall of selling. Everybody's doing the wrong thing, okay? Let me ask you a question. If I walked onto your sales floor, and after what you just saw, am I going to be the top salesperson on that sales floor? Yeah. Without a question, right? Yeah. Okay. Not because I'm fucking handsome, and I am. Not because I'm strong and powerful, and I am. Not because I've got a 12-inch ruler in my desk. I'm just kidding. Just seeing if I can get any reactions. Guys, I don't think I'm handsome. Honestly, I think I'm a tall, goofy-looking fucker with a receding hairline. I'm just trying to get a smile out of you, okay? Guys, understand something. What I'm trying to prove and show you by asking Chris, if I did that at your dealership, would I not be the top salesman? He's like, fuck yeah, you would. Ain't nobody at my store doing that, okay? But here's the thing, it ain't gotta be me. I can teach that to you. I do teach that to you. On Closers Club, Laddie Klein started at what closing ratio?
20% he was, or 15%.
And then he got, I think he said right around 20. Yep. And that, or well, that would have been what I said because when I first engaged with him. But when you were on that call Monday, what did he tell you he was up to?
He was up into the 50%. That particular week, he was doing 60% closing.
Right. He said, I'm now up to 40 to 50%. He says, this week I'm at 60, but I don't want to use that as, because we asked him what his closing ratio was. Okay. Now, guys, for those of you who are not in sales, closing ratio means if you talk to 10 people, how many of them did you get to engage with you and get money from? Okay. The national average in tangible asset sales, RVs, cars, stuff like that, it's about 20 to 25% if you're good, okay? 1 out of every 4 people that you'll talk to, you'll sell something to, if you're good. Now, if your dealership is great at marketing and getting you awesome leads, you might be higher than that. But when we talk about national averages, we talk about everybody across the entire freaking country, every single human being that's doing it, okay? So that means the really shitty ones and the real good ones, because the average gives you the mean, where most people are operating, and it's 20 to 25%. Okay, Laddie Klein is operating now at 40 to 50%. Every single transaction. Does anybody know what 20 times 2 is? 4. He has doubled his efficacy in selling, okay? And it's not because Laddie lives in Rochester. We have never shaken hands. He has never taken a class here. He's never engaged with me personally, other than one private coaching call that he paid $500 for, because it's $500 an hour. And in that call, he just asked some things after he did the online training platform and took the test and got certified. He just had some things that he wanted to make sure he had absorbed the right way. And I get to it in the Closers Club calls that we do once every Monday in the evening. Everybody asks if they have any, you know, I heard this and I heard you say that, but I wasn't sure if it meant this or this. That's what Closers Club is for, okay? It's also where a group of people who are tenaciously trying to get better and more effective at selling get together. It's like a after game party for a football team, okay? It's Monday, we've all got our asses kicked, we go to the freaking party and we sit and we talk and we bullshit and we figure it out and we solve it, and then I motivate you for the rest of the week, okay? That's what the Closers Club call is when you hear me say Closers Club, okay? Laddie was so excited about the sales training, he wasn't willing to wait 7 fucking days to get on Closers Club. He whacked his credit card for $500 so he could get back on the phone with me for an hour. It was well worth the money because the next day he sold 2 houses full of windows, which were like $3,000 commissions in total, okay? Laddie knows how to make an investment, okay? Eric, another person that I train, does private coaching with me 3 hours, 3 hours out of the month, 3 days out of the month, 3 hours a piece, or an hour a piece, okay? This is an individual that purchased the Pay Your Suede online platform. He's a car dealer's son. He's bequeathed the business. He will own the place eventually. But he has no respect on the sales floor because he's never sold a car a day in his life. He's now competing with the best salespeople and they respect him. And he now has command on the sales floor. And he now talks like a salesman and acts like a salesperson and closes deals like a salesperson because we gave him something. Do you know what we gave him? We gave him confidence. He knows he can do it. Okay? Chris, you can operate up here with the exact same confidence that I did to you, and bam, 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 sale. Every single time. We teach the flow method. Fundamental, logical, and obvious. We teach the 3 C's. Confidence, contents, and cadence. We teach the 3 groups of pricing. You heard me discuss that. Everyday low prices, ad specials, and hit list deals. We teach the 3 buckets of financing. Is anybody noticing a theme? Threes. We leverage the power of 3. EGADs and eons of statistical analysis, white papers, studies, double-blind studies, billion-dollar frickin' resource companies, Fortune 100 companies have done research into numbers and marketing, okay? What's the most effective way to penetrate the mind of a human being? How do we get them to remember our jingle? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm loving it.
What company? Da-na-na, da-na-na. What company? Okay? The touch, the feel of.
What's wrong with it?
I'm just showing my age. Cotton. It was an old Aaron Neville commercial. I was being a wise ass, okay? So, guys, the power of 3 is undeniable, okay? All you have to do is stop and think about all the marketing you see all over the world, okay? Fresh, hot, ready. I can usually rattle off a whole bunch of these, but right now I'm just tired, okay? Think of marketing that you've seen anywhere, okay? Let's see if there's anything on here. But, what's that?
Yeah.
Just do it. Perfect. Thank you for saving my ass. It's been a long day, okay? The power of 3, guys. They give you things in 3. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, okay? Small, medium, large, okay? Low, medium, high on your fan, okay? It's everywhere in the red, the white, and the blue. It's bang, 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 bang. Everything that you do, okay? So, the most intelligent way to construct a method for a human being to be able to retain and to be able to spit it methodically. And do you remember the word, Roger?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do you remember the word? To be able to behave and react?
Deflect?
Reflexively.
Flexive.
Reflexively, okay? Anybody ever watched a boxing match or an MMA fight? Okay, what's the guy doing in the locker room before he actually walks out? He's already taped up, he's already got his gloves on, he's already got his trunks on, he's already got his kidney belt on. He's in there going like this. Bop, 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 bop. Bop, 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 bop. Bing, bing, bop, bop, bing, bing, bop, bop. And the guy's going. Anybody ever seen that? Okay, that's pad training, that's reflexive training. That's because when he walks out into the ring and actually steps into war with another individual who's trying to take his head off, his trainer knows he must be reflexive. Somebody throws a right hook, he can't go, oh shit, there's a right hook, I better block that. By the time he goes, oh shit, he's on the canvas. It's gotta be reflexive. Hand comes, bam, blocked it. Leg comes, boom, blocked it. Arms go, oop, double leg takedown. Boom, shoot, reflexive, bang, bang, bang. That is how you leverage authenticity when you're selling. It has to be yours. You start trying to spit a word track towards somebody. Well, Mr. Customer, anything worth doing tomorrow is worth doing today, right? What? Well, Mr. Customer, let me ask you a question. Do you love your wife? Yes. Do you cherish your wife? Yes. Do you think your wife wants you to have a new camper or an old camper if she truly loves you and wants what's best for you? A new camper? That's right, sir. Sign right here. That shit doesn't work. You see it all over social media. Cute little videos of sales trainers saying one-liners, dropping the microphone off, and then walking off screen with some sound effects. Okay? Yeah, it makes a great YouTube reel, but it's not fucking reality. Okay? You must be reflexive yourself. You must bring information to the customer that comes from your brain. You must say things that are authentic in your own words, in your own vernacular, in your own vocal cadence, in your own tonality, because the customer, once they've met you and talked to you for a moment, they've got an idea of what you're supposed to sound like. They got an idea of how tall you stand, what your posture is, how you smell, how you speak, how you walk. So now at the end of the sale, when you try to close the deal and you start slipping into, well, Mr. Customer, anything worth doing tomorrow is worth doing today, isn't it? Sure, Chris. Sure. Yeah, I think I gotta get going. Oh, Mr. Customer, I mean, you gotta get going, I understand that, but what really is there to think about? I mean, we've got the price right, we got the figures right, and frankly, I probably haven't given you enough to think about. So let's get you inside, let's get you some figures that make sense, and we'll make a deal today. What do you say? Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's what really happens in real life. I mean, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. You sell every day. Does that shit work?
No, word tracks are annoying as hell. They work.
Okay? So there's like a dividing line in this room, okay? There's some people that have sold before, there's some people that haven't sold before. I've done the best job I can today about trying to give enough information to where it's in-depth enough so the people who sell for a living have gained a tremendous amount of value today, okay? Be perfectly frank with me. Does anybody feel that today was a waste of their time? I want to know if you do. I truly want to know. Anybody? Okay. I must just be that scary. No one wants to say no. Okay? Guys, because I want to know, because that way I will optimize differently. I will do it a different way. Okay? But quite frankly, anybody that leaves the room today and says this wasn't worth my time should not be in a career of selling. Quite frankly, the antithesis of that would be and should be, if anybody in this room is interested in selling for a living, they should be walking out of here going, I need more of that. Okay? But you must know that there is more of this. It's not as simple as what we did here today, okay? Do you think you could walk out of here and do what I just did? Like that?
No.
Does anybody in the room, Chris, do you think you could do you think you could do that tomorrow, just like that?
Nope.
Pete, do you think it's possible you could learn to do that? About you, Roger?
Actually,
About you guys?
Yes.
Compassionate. It was interrogative, and it funneled us to an end that got me to the answer I needed in order to get the end result that I wanted. You can learn this.